Could you give like an example in any one area of what this would look like in terms of if a teacher has some opportunity to reflect on evidence that they've gathered on a group of kids or an individual child, and kind of what would happen next?
Well, I think what's so powerful today is that we can use technology to help teachers make those connections, so that when a teacher collects information and identifies where children are on that progression, they can generate reports from that just automatically, such as a child classroom report that shows where all the children in that classroom are on a particular objectives. So if you know that these children are at a particular step, the teacher can plan instruction because those steps are tied to curriculum experiences. And the teacher can select ones that she thinks that the children would enjoy, and then plan a group of children to get together for an activity. And let's say a teacher has planned that for a particular group at a particular level, but another child comes over and wants to join the activity, and the teacher knows that child is not at this level. The teacher can automatically adapt the activity for that child if the curriculum shows that progression, which is something done. Now, a lot happens sort of on the spot in terms of teachers using what's happening. So if teachers are good observers, they're noticing interesting things that children are doing and noticing, and then can pick up on that. So just from my own teaching experience, I remember a child looking at the fish tank one day and noticing that the water was evaporating. And what he said was, we have to put more water in the fish tank because the fish are drinking the water. So, I mean, this is such a wonderful science experience, and a child has made an observation and made a hypothesis, and and so I said, so you think that we have to put more water in the fish tank because the fish are drinking the water. How can we find out? And so we developed an experiment of putting another bowl of water next to it, and I said, so if you put another bowl and there weren't any fish, the water would stay the same? And he said, yeah, because there wouldn't be any fish to drink it. And so we tried that. And you can imagine what happened and how we could go from there to a whole lot of experiences related to evaporation. So it's that kind of observation that enables teachers to really build curriculum around children's observations and what they're interested in.
Yeah, I like the way that you're describing examples where there's a lot of deliberation and reflection and analysis, but also there are opportunities that are really much more on the fly, yes, where the teacher can respond in the moment. One of the other things that I thought would be appropriate to try to unpack a little bit is this concept that we frequently aspire to when we talk about early childhood teaching, which is individualizing the curriculum. And the question I always have in my mind is, well, like, how do you really do that? If you have 20 kids and a teacher aide and certain types of materials, so do you have thoughts about that in terms of, and you mentioned small groups, which I think is certainly one strategy, but say a little bit about, how you help teachers, carry out that goal of adapting to the individual needs.
You're right, Tom. We've been talking about how that teachers should individualize for as long as I can remember. But I don't think we really helped them know how to do that. We said, well, take time to do your observations, document what children are doing, and then reflect on it and come up with activities and experiences you think would help each child. That's an awful lot to expect, especially since teachers often don't have time to plan. So the first thing we wanted to do in terms of individualizing was making it less burdensome for teachers to do their observations, to collect the information that they needed on children. Because teachers would say, oh, this assessment is taking me so much time, I don't have time to be with the children. So what we looked at the objectives and said, which ones are don't require a lot of documentation, don't require extensive notes about, it could be just a checklist. So if you think about physical objectives, literacy objectives, many of the mathematical objectives, you can watch a child doing something and just check it off and notice that you and note the data that you have seen that. So we created sort of what we call on-the-spot observation, and that really helped. We encourage teachers to take pictures and video and audio and to document what children were doing, and that was great, but they still had to upload that into their computer and type in the notes, so that still took a lot of time. What has revolutionized that ability is a mobile app that we've developed now, so that that mobile app can be used on an iPad or an iPhone or an iTouch. And teachers can take video, they can take photographs, they can take what children are saying, then they can dictate into it their notes of what they've noticed, which automatically translates to type. They can then identify which objectives they believe they've learned something about through that observation, that documentation, and then they can identify which children were involved. And with one click, it goes to all their portfolios. That has really revolutionized for teachers the whole assessment process, the process of collecting data and being able to collect really rich data. That's so much better than what they had before. Then the next step is, how do you take that information and individualize? And I mentioned the child profile, classroom profile as a report. There's also an individual child profile report that teachers can generate, so they know exactly where children are. But what they can then do is look at what activities are connected to that experience, to that level that the child is at, and plan activities that way. What the next step is this summer, at the end of the summer, is we're going to have digital curriculum, so that teachers will automatically, it will generate the activities that go with a particular level of children at, and tell them where children in their whole classroom are, at what step in that progression, and what activities they can do with it. So I feel really excited about this, the way technology can help us support teachers and make it easier for them to individualize, something that we really haven't done in the past. And we didn't have the technology to do it.
Right.